again to all of you who've joined in. Welcome to our very first Leadership Basics call. We are so excited to have you with us along this journey of leadership. I want to give my disclaimer before we run into this that whether you are a travel agent, team builder, or both, you're going to find elements of leadership are important. And the more you strengthen your leadership, you'll see an increase in your sales, and increasing your retention of your team, and an overall growth in your business by embracing leadership basics. So, with that being said, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to go through some training points. At certain points, I may ask for some interaction. Otherwise, we're going to get to Q&A at the end. So, if you've got questions as we're going through, jot them down, and then we'll come back to them at the end so that we can get through the material. So, again, welcome to Leadership Basics. My name is Dadra Driscoll, and I am so excited to be sharing with you tonight. So, let me give you just a little bit of information about me. I'm a licensed and ordained minister, teacher, mentor, a management and leadership consultant. I am an entrepreneur, just like those of you on this call. I am also a certified member of the John Maxwell Leadership Team. So I am coming to you from a different lens tonight. I'm not coming to you as a travel agent per se or as a team builder, but I'm going to come to you as a leadership coach, and we're going to talk about leadership principles during these calls as we go forward. So let's get started. All right, so I'm going to be sharing a point from a book by my good friend John C. Maxwell, which is entitled The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So, again, we're not trying to cover all 15. I'm going to just pick one for tonight and we're going to talk about it. But I wanted you to know where the root of this particular training is going to come from. And it is part of what we do in our mastermind training. So, you guys get the benefit of it. So, that law we're going to talk about tonight is the law of intentionality. Growth doesn't just happen. When we get into business, often people just assume kind of like some kind of magic pixie dust or magic wand is going to be uh, waved over us and things are going to automatically fall into place. It doesn't just automatically happen. We have to be very intentional about it. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So, my question to you is, do you have a plan to grow? Although, we know in the natural, as long as you keep living, you go from being a baby to an infant to a toddler, you become a kid, and then eventually you grow up, and that aspect happens. But when it comes to growth in your leadership style, your leadership strengths, it doesn't just automatically happen. It's very important that you invest in yourself and that you make an intentional plan for growing and becoming better. So, with that, there are some growth gaps. So, when it comes to planning your road of growth as a leader, there could be some things that hinder that. So, we're just going to talk about some of those. So, how about number one, the assumption gap? I will automatically grow. Because I'm in business, things will automatically happen. Number two, the knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow. Many of you may feel that way. How about number three, the timing gap? It's not the right time to grow. We often put things off and we think there'll be some magical right time or perfect time. Number four, the mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes, so I just won't do anything. I know that's one, it's a big one. A lot of times we kind of just get paralyzed and we say, you know what? I don't want to mess it up, so I'm not going to do anything. Let's look at number five, the perfection gap. I have to find the best way before I start. Do I have any perfectionists on the line who you're trying to get all of your ducks in the row do all of the possible trainings, know all of the scenarios before you book your first trip. How about number 6, the inspiration gap? I don't feel like growing. I'm not inspired. Maybe that's happened to you. How about the comparison gap? Others are better than me, or you're looking at someone else's team or the bookings that someone else is doing, and you're thinking perhaps that they're better at this than you are. And finally, number 8, the expectation gap. That's one where I thought it would be easier than this. Often when new agents come on, they get a little overwhelmed because they didn't realize, oh my God, there's so many trainings and calls, and I don't know what to do. So the expectation gap sometimes can hinder us in our growth. So, in creating a plan to grow, we need to look at some of these things and figure out what our gaps are and how do we fix them. Now, this is a quote by my good friend John C. Maxwell. So he says, when you're losing, everything hurts. But let's consider, if Rome wasn't built in a day, then how long are you willing to give yourself to build your business? So, for those of you who were thinking that automatically everything should be perfect day one, give yourself some grace. Give yourself some time to figure out your style and get your tools into place. Don't put that pressure on yourself that if in your first 7 days you haven't done certain things that you feel like a failure. You want to pay attention to creating a path for yourself to grow. So, what that means is you're going to transition into intentional growth. As we mentioned, you got to come up with a plan, and you don't want to just leave it up to chance. You want to make sure that everything has its place and that you're making decisions based on where you want your business to go. So, let's ask the big questions now. Where do you want to go in life? Or in this context, in your business? What is it that you want out of your business? Now, with this, I want to pause and say, don't answer this based on your mentor, based on the other members of your organization. This is a personal question, and your answer to it is yours and it's valid. Not everyone wants to have, a three-star organization and be responsible for thousands of people. And if you don't, that is okay. Some people just want to book travel, and I'm here to empower you and say that is totally okay. Others want to have a big team. If you want to have a big team, that's okay too. But you've got to know for you, what is that thing? Is it that you just want your business to pay for itself? Are you trying to create a certain amount of income so that you can perhaps um, let go of your traditional 9 to 5? The answer is personal, but it's an important answer that you need to know and own. Because often when we're in the rah, rah, rah on the call with everyone, everyone's all, yeah, yeah, I want to do that. Yeah. Who wants to do this? I do. And if that's not really what you want, just cheering on and jumping on the bandwagon is going to frustrate you trying to be something that wasn't what your intention is. So, where do you want to go in life, or where do you want your business to go? And what direction? I mean, do you want to be a travel booker only? Do you want to be a team builder? Do you want to do both? Are you not sure and you need more information? But that question of what direction is important, because if you want to be a team builder, then there's going to be certain things that you need to learn about team building so that you can be successful. If you want to be a travel booker, what type of travel do you want to book? To say just general travel, that is an option, but perhaps you want to specialize in something. And so if you say, for instance, want to become a cruise specialist, then it's going to be better for you to learn about booking cruises than, for instance, how to book a ski resort vacation. That might not be your thing. And your time is valuable, and none of us have enough. Anybody you ask is going to automatically tell you they wish they had more time. So, the one thing I tell agents that when I look back over my career as a travel agent, I'm a nerd, so I was going for certification after certification, and I've got tons of certifications for things that I have never booked, may never book, and I just did them because I hopped on a bandwagon and saying, "Oh, get certifications." So figure out a direction because how you lead your business is going to really work best if you're intentional. What's the farthest you can imagine yourself going? Now, this is that moment where you get to dream and dream big. Do you want to see yourself as a three or four or five, eight-star platinum? Do you want to be $1 million travel booker? What is it? What's the farthest you can imagine? And how long do you think it would take you to get there? Is this a 6 month something? Is this a 1 year? Is this a 6 year? Understanding the answers to these kind of questions also help anchor you when those rough times come and you're thinking about quitting. Because if you're not at that place, at that goal, then you can't give up because you've still got things to do. So ask yourself some big questions today. So I want you to kind of jot down what those are. Now, when we were talking about those gaps a moment ago, what would you say was the number one gap that has you kind of in a chokehold right now? What is the thing that's holding you back? And I'm not asking you necessarily to confess it to everyone in the chat. If you don't feel comfortable with that, that's totally fine. But I want you to know what is that number one thing? When we looked at those 8 gaps, which one is the one that you say, "Oh, I see myself in that. That's me." And what action steps can you take right now to break out of that trap? What is it you can do? What's keeping you from accomplishing whatever that thing is that you want to accomplish? What are those hindrances? And how do I deal with them? Often, when it comes down to booking and things, people say, I don't have time. Well, we all have the same number of hours, but how we address them may be different. So perhaps you need to schedule things. For me, I have become totally calendar dependent. If it is not on my calendar, it is not real. So, what made a turn for me in my travel booking business was that when someone wants to book travel with me, I send them what I call my travel needs interview link, where they can get on my calendar. I can give them my time and go through all of the particulars of qualifying them and getting the who, what, when, where, why for their trip. I stopped having just random people call me at any given time or popping up in my DMs and I'm dropping everything to try and answer their things. Anytime someone did that, I started using that calendar link because time was a hindrance for me. I didn't know that I had time for everything that needed to be done. But I found when I started scheduling people, it took that pressure off because I was not floundering between things and infringing on something else I was responsible for. And gave it time and priority. It also communicated something to my clients that I was professional. They had an appointment with me. I was prepared to speak with them, and they had my undivided attention. It changed how they viewed my business. So I stopped having those people that were just playing around. They said, "Oh, she's serious. She wants me to schedule an appointment." So that's just an example of how I dealt with a hindrance. But understanding that in order to be intentional when it comes to growth, you're going to have to shift your mindset and you're going to be shifting it from this accidental growth, I hope it happens, to being intentional. I've got a plan for it. My issue was time. So the way I managed my time better was that I used my calendar. So I got a tool that I can just paste and send a link. They jump on my calendar, and I get to schedule when they can jump on my calendar. And it really began to help me be able to deal with that particular gap that I was having. So, this is something that you don't want to put off. Whatever it was that you just jotted down, that's your issue, you want to start working on it now. Don't put it off. Don't wait till the new year. Let's deal with it now, mid November, knock it out. And then that way you can move forward through the rest of the year in a much more positive and intentional way. Some things can really be fixed pretty simple. Others may require more investment of time, talent, or treasure to help fix. But if you don't start, it'll never get done. And if you're putting it off like some kind of New Year's resolution, let you know that come February 1st, we'll still be in this same spot that we're in here in November. So let's make it a point to start working on it and ask yourself, what is it that I'm waiting for? Now, here's the answer that many of you don't want to write down: fear. So I want you to note that if you are facing fear, you are not alone. If I were to ask people to jump in the chat, and if you feel comfortable doing so, please feel free. Have you had a fear concerning your business that you had to face? If you have, I want you to say yes or put something in the chat box because I want other people to realize they're not alone in that. All of us have fears. You know, could be the fear of failure, the fear of trading security for the unknown. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. Again, I one of my mentors, she was talking about, she did a call and she said, let's have a moment of silence for direct deposit. And she was talking about what happened when she transitioned from her traditional 9 to 5 job to being a full-time entrepreneur and how afraid she was of not having the security of that direct deposit hitting the account every 2 weeks. So maybe part of what's kind of holding you back is a fear of trading security for the unknown of being an entrepreneur. Maybe it's a fear of being overextended on your resources. Maybe it's the fear of what others think. It could be the fear of pushing others away. Again, as you start elevating in your business, the landscape of your life is going to change. People are going to have things to say. Some are going to be your cheerleaders and your supporters. Others are going to be your haters and your discouragers. And a fear of what they think can really fall in both times because if everybody is rooting for you, you could be afraid of letting them down. If people are saying, "Oh, what's this little travel thing you're doing?" and they're really being negative towards you, that same fear can creep in there as well. So, I want to talk about fear for a moment. We're going to be moving into a little bit more about fear, but when it comes to fear, you as a leader in your business, so again, whether you are just booking travel or you're building a team or you're doing some combination of both, you are a leader, you're a business leader. And it's going to be important that your clients see you as a business leader. It's going to be important that your potential business partners see you, prospects see you as a leader. So you can't allow fear to grip you and prevent you from being able to put forward that face of confidence, that successful air about you as a business leader. But any of these fears, and this is not by any means an exhaustive list of fears you could have, but these are some of the main ones that as an entrepreneur you could be facing. And I want you to think about what happens with fear because often fear doesn't start with us. Fear is often something that is planted within us. If you think about kids, until someone tells a kid to stop, a kid will go running headfirst into whatever. Fear is a learned behavior in most cases. And it's that person or that thing that drops that little seed of doubt into you, that seed of fear into you. Some of you came from families who were fearful, and so you inherited that fear. Or people around you planted that fear and that seed of doubt inside of you. And I may have some medical professionals on the line. And if I do, my disclaimer is I am by no means trying to give a full medical account, but I just want to give you an example. If someone, because fear can be like poison, it might just be a few drops that were put in and a few more over time and it built up in the system. But if someone, gets poisoned, once they get to the ER or what have you, they're giving them some kind of neutralizing something, charcoal or whatever it might be, and then they're going to pump it out. Their goal is going to be to get it out of the system so that the system can be healthy again. And similarly, when it comes to fear with respect to your business, we need to get in there and neutralize it and get it out. So, whatever it is that you're afraid of, let's figure out what it is, first of all. And then, secondly, let's figure out how to neutralize it and get it out. Because you're not going to be able to move on if every time someone says, "Oh, you'll never make it, you're not going to be successful." Who's going to book travel with you? If you keep allowing those negative seeds of doubt to poison you, it'll prevent you from being the next $1 million booker. So you don't want to allow it to fester, but we want to identify what it is, neutralize it, and pump it out. Let's get it out of the way. So let's ask yourself, which emotion is stronger? The desire to change and grow, or one of these fears? Do you want to be a successful business leader more than you're afraid of failing? Yes or no? Or if you're the person who has a fear of trading the security for the unknown, do you want to work for the next 20, 30 years for someone else? Or do you want to build something great for yourself? Fear of being overextended on resources. Are you afraid that you're not going to be successful and you're not going to make enough money for this business to get off the ground? Or do you want to start booking and go ahead and get that group cruise booked? Or sign up those business partners so that your business pays for itself? Do you have a stronger desire to change and to grow and be successful over the fear of what others think? Let me let you know. You grew up in a family and perhaps your past wasn't that great, but you've got this great view of the future. There's probably going to be someone in your family reminding you of those failures and what you did and seeing you when you were a kid and or when you were a teen or when you were goofing off. And they can't be the loudest voice you allow yourself to hear. Sometimes you've got to turn them off and tune them out so that you can make room for those positive things. Create that new circle of people who believe in you. People like the people that are on this line. They are here pushing, they're on the grind. They believe in themselves, they believe in you, and they believe that we can all do this together. Your Evo family can help offset those negative things that other people are saying. Or if you're afraid of letting people down, you need to get some people who are doing what you're doing in your ear, sharing how they're doing it so that you know you can make it and you can do it. If they can do it, you can do it. So on and so forth. So, is it one of these fears? How am I going to address it? So, we talked about it being intentional and not accidental. When it comes to growing, if you look at it on a scale of 0 to 10, what's on one end, that accidental plan, hoping and a praying that maybe it might work, versus being really intentional? about doing what it takes to make it happen. So I'm not necessarily going to go deep into all of these, but I want to give you some examples. So that person who's always saying, "Oh, I'll start tomorrow," or "I'm going to start next week," or "I'm going to start in January. It's going to be my New Year's resolution." That is like a zero. That's accidental. I'm hoping and praying that maybe it might happen. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, a person who insists on starting now, that's intentional. Giving it a specific date and time, giving it a measurable plan is important when it comes to being intentional about growing your business. Accidental is someone who waits for growth to come. Or maybe you're waiting on your mentor because they're going to help me figure this out. And maybe my mentor's too busy and they didn't call me back. And that's accidental. One great thing that John Maxwell always taught us is that leaders take the oversight. And with that, if you are waiting on someone else to make it happen for you or to facilitate it happening for you are not the leader, you're following. And it's going to be important for you to be a leader in your business and take the oversight. If your mentor isn't calling you back, maybe they dropped out of the company, find someone else. Keep knocking, keep asking. You don't want to be the one who didn't get it because you sat back and you folded your hands. You're like, well, they didn't help me. That's not being intentional about your growth. Forget them. If they don't help you, get somebody else. Ask somebody else. And if the second person you ask doesn't help you, then ask a third person. And I say that because, again, it's going to be important that you take responsibility for your growth. This is your business. You signed up as an entrepreneur. This is no longer like the HR system at your job where they've got a training period and someone is going to come and walk you through it, and eventually you'll get to this point. You are the HR system for your own business. And so it's going to be important for you to find the right resources and whoever that might be to help you. And likewise, if you are a mentor or a leader on a team and you can't give what everyone on your team needs, don't be insecure about them going to someone else for help. Because again, I mentioned at the St. Louis, the Midwest Boot Camp, it doesn't matter who helps you lay the bricks as long as the wall gets built. So if you've got people on your team and they're going to other leaders for help, it could be that they just need a different leadership style than yours. And there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. Part of my background is in higher ed and adult education. And adult learners, especially, most of us in this company have been out of school for quite some time. So the prospect of learning the volume of information we have to learn can be overwhelming for some people. Some people are visual learners. Some people need to see it written out in black and white. Some need to listen to videos. Some need to be hands on with someone face to face. And all of those different styles are valid and legitimate depending on who the individual is. So if you're trying to build a team, it's going to be important for you as a leader to recognize that your team may need something different than what you can provide. A great leader is going to help them find it because, again, it doesn't matter who helps lay the bricks as long as the wall gets built. So if you've got someone who might benefit from a different leader's style and that leader is willing to help them, don't hinder that person. Allow them to grow and allow them to grow with the things and the tools needed for them to grow. How about a person who learns only from mistakes versus a person who learns before mistakes? If someone could tell you what not to do before you do it, that is invaluable. So, again, be intentional. So, sometimes you need to ask those kinds of questions. If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently so that I don't make the same mistakes? Accidental growth, someone who quits, quits early and often. If you are so willing to just throw in the towel on your business, that's not going to get you to where you want to be. You need to persevere long and hard. Again, being an entrepreneur is for grown folks. It is not easy. It's not a walk in the park. And if you signed up because that's what you thought it would be, I am so sorry to tell you that it's not. Being an entrepreneur is going to have ups and downs, great days, great weeks, great months. Sometimes it may not be so great, but you've got to be in for the long haul and know that the end result, your legacy, your successful business is going to be built over time. When we talked about the fact that Rome wasn't built in a day, again, if you talk to anyone who is successful, they're going to tell you that it took time and intentionality, that they had things they had to do, things they had to go through. You want to be that person who is intentional. So, again, here we've got someone who talks big versus someone who follows through. It's easy on a call or if you're at, a team chat to have big talk, but when you go offline and it's just you and you're staring at the realities of your business, you've got to push through that and make sure that you are giving it your all and not giving up on it. How about someone who plays it safe versus someone who takes risks? To be an entrepreneur is to be a risk taker. It is so important that you understand that. This is not, again, when I gave that example with the direct deposit, you're going to take a risk that, your business may not earn thousands of dollars every month, but you may have some months where you earn several thousand dollars. So you've got to take that risk. Now, if you're looking at a business need where you need to have certain amount of money coming in every month in order for you to sustain, then you're going to have to also be intentional about how you go about conducting your business. If you're booking trips that are 6 months, 7 months out, we know that commission on those particular trips aren't going to be paid until after those trips are done. So you may have to also start doing things like, Evo Plus or things that are going to provide instant commission. That's being intentional about the growth of your business. You may have to do both things. Or you have to book long enough that you've got something coming in every month. So for those who are travel bookers, that becomes a piece of it that if I have someone traveling every month, I will also eventually be at a point where I have commission coming in every month. Or if you're going to jump into the residual profit sharing pool and be a team builder, you've got to build your team to a certain point so that your monthly residuals reach a certain amount and then sustain that team. So, again, these are things that really come in with being intentional. How about this next one? Someone who thinks like a victim versus someone who thinks like a learner. I mentioned it earlier. Again, you cannot wait or depend on someone else to be the guardian of your success because if you do, then you are not being an entrepreneur. That's the same as having a traditional job where you depend on that company. There was a time where there was this phrase where people would say, oh, they've got a good government job, because the thought was that if you worked for the government, you would never be without a job. However, in our current situation, we know that there are thousands, unfortunately, of government workers who are not working right now. So again, you've got to really pay attention to being responsible for the outcomes in your business. not being a victim, but I'm going to figure out what it is that I need to do in order to make my business successful so that it does what I need it to do for me. So, as we look at all of these different things, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, if you really want to grow. So, we talked about that growth. What was that one gap that you had? And I asked you to kind of consider what was it going to take for you to be successful or to accomplish whatever that thing was. But now that you have that written down, I want you to really look at this and start making a plan. What can I do today after I get off of this call? What can I do to start moving the needle, so to speak, about that thing? Look at your calendar. Let's start scheduling specific, timed, and focused activities to make that happen. Is it something that you need to get more training on? Is it something where you need to adjust how you manage the time you have in your day? Maybe you need to have a consultation for someone who can help you when it comes to doing things like being managing your time better. Or but look at your calendar, take that thing and give it a specific deadline. Give it some points. Okay, maybe I need to become more organized. So I've got to go to the office supply store and I need to get folders and labels and I need to get a little file cabinet so that I can keep my things organized and that'll help me, uh, be more on top of what I'm doing. I don't know. But whatever those things are, set up a time frame for yourself. Don't just leave it open-ended. Based on what you put down, let's come up with an action plan. How do I fix that? Because growing is not a goal, but it's a lifelong process. And that means it's something that's got to always be in motion. I've got to keep working on it. Even though I've taken and dedicated years of my life to training, I still go to trainings myself. I literally just got off a call with one of my mentors listening on things to pour into me before I could turn around and pour into you. So it's not something that's going to be done. You're going to continuously be growing as a leader. As your business continues to grow, you're going to continue to grow. Even if your goal, when we talked about what was that furthest thing you thought, trust me, once you get there, you're not going to be satisfied. You're going to want to keep growing. If you said you want to become a gold consultant, guess what? Gold consultants want to become platinum consultants. If you said you wanted to be $1 million travel booker, $1 million travel bookers want to become $2 million travel bookers. So as you're growing along this process, understand that you're never going to be done. So don't feel like, oh, well, if I could just finish this. You're going to finish certain steps and levels along the way, but you're going to continuously be learning. That last point said, accidental growth is someone who stops learning after graduation. Intentional growth means I never stop learning. There's always something else that I can learn. So scheduling time for growth seems simple, but it's going to be the beginning of your success as a leader is taking time to do this. Now, for those of you who are travel bookers, you want to look at the people who are your clients or who ghosted you and consider the whys. What am I doing good for my clients that I'm booking for? What could I be doing better? Why did the individuals who I did the quote for not book with me? That's a hard question that a lot of people don't want to really look at the answer. We like to blame it on them, but perhaps it was something that we did that caused them to not want to book with us. So there are many other things we're going to talk about in future trainings, but I just want to kind of plant those ideas that when it comes to understanding the areas that you need to grow in, these are the kind of things you're going to look at if you're a travel booker. Now, for those of you that are team builders, You want to look at, the status of your team, whatever size it may be. And how do I go about making sure that I'm able to lead my team? Whether you have a team of 3 as an executive or a team of 300 or a team of 1,000, it's going to be important for you to understand who are the members of my team and what is it that they need from me? Because different people need different things. As I mentioned, when it comes to adult learning styles, some people are good. Hey, just give me the link and I'm good. Others, hey, I need more hands on. And if you know that your particular style is not hands on, then it's going to be important for you to find another leader that is hands on to perhaps partner that person with so that they can still get what they need. Or, everyone has a different style. And it doesn't make one style right and another style wrong. They're just different. And as a leader, understanding the differences in the needs of your team helps you retain them. And it's going to help you be able to give everyone what they need. If you're a heavy booker and you've got you're a heavy builder and you've got travel bookers on your team, and you're not a person who's really big on travel booking, then it's going to be important for you to partner with someone who is, or be able to partner your team members with someone who is, so that their needs for travel booking are still met while you're doing your trainings on team building and not being too far off to the extreme one way or the other. Because if you understand your team and your team's needs as a leader, you're going to help strengthen the core of your team. It'll help with your retention. And also, it's going to help you grow as a leader because you begin to understand how to manage people in a way that you can lead them, even if you aren't the one who's step by step giving them everything. As I mentioned before, again, as long as the wall gets built, it does not matter who helps lay the bricks. But it is going to be important for you to know who all the masons are who can help you and your team to be successful. And again, not be insecure because someone needs something that's a little bit beyond what you have. Now, it could be that you can grow. I think back when I was in high school, we had a math teacher who was teaching us AP calculus, and it was her first time doing AP calculus. And so as we moved up each summer, she went to school so she could learn more to then become our assigned for the next year. And that was so cool to us as students to know that our instructor went back to school so she could make sure that she knew what she needed to know to teach us. And I share that simple example because it could be that as a leader for your team, it may be something that you need to know and grow and learn so that you can come back and then help your team learn and grow. But again, all of these are things that are going to be important for you to be intentional about. What are the areas that I need to grow in, and what is my plan to grow in those areas? So that brings us to the end of this portion of the training. I